set up for the dismal state of the box office this week.
Oh yeah.
Because, boy, the box office was so bad that I've seen articles questioning if theaters are going to die.
Yeah. Man.
Because the only movie that is actually doing unambiguously well right now is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Because in its third weekend, it very nearly matched Disney's Elementals in its opening weekend.
Wow.
And I looked ahead at the daily box office. It was beating Flash and Elemental multiple days.
Wow. Man.
Everything else here, Little Mermaid, has been out for a month. $250 million is usually nothing to sneeze at, but not when you make the darn thing for 200 and was it 200 million or 250? I
I think it
forget
was
what.
two. I think it was 250.
Yeah, 250.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty astonishing. Yeah. When you look at that list, I mean, even I would say like even Guardians of the Galaxy, which I mean that might break even. I think,
Yeah, like
or if it already has broken even. I think.
it's debatable. I mean, it depends on, did they do accounting shenanigans with this 250 million that they put into it? Because we know that Thor probably inherited some of the money from Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
or some of the expenses from Shang-Chi, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
Um, then you've all, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a ridiculous world we live in where we have to debate if a movie that made 800 million at the box office broke even.
Yeah. And Changus
Yeah,
says he's bummed about Transformers'
right.
numbers.
This
Yeah.
isn't just a Disney problem.
Yeah.
Because it's been out for 3 weeks now and it has not crossed 300 million yet. It's a bargain at 195 million.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
Though Transformers has the side benefit that it's an advertisement for toys, so
Hmm.
you know that Hasbro's going to make up a big chunk of whatever shortfall we get here by selling more action figures.
Yes. Yeah, and those action figures are not cheap, by the way.
No, I know multiple people who prefer to get knockoffs where the Chinese factory steals the old molds and actually often does a better job than Hasbro does.
Yeah.
Um, Now, as far as other new releases, Asteroid City in 6 theaters made a little under 900 million, or to me 900,000,
Thousand. Oof.
but again, that's 140,000 a theater. Like that, that's probably like your Chinese theater in Los Angeles and a few other
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, New York. Yeah.
Right. So that isn't, it'll be interesting to see how that does as it rolls out.
Yeah.
But this summer is just nonsense. And you know
Yeah.
what? Let's go ahead and take a quick look back. I'm going to pull out the calculator, which I now realize does not show up on anybody else's end. So
All right.
I can 80085. So let's do a quick. I'm going to just add together the top five here for what they made over the weekend. So
Okay.
55, 29, 27, 20, 11. All right, so that's a grand total of 142 million from the top five. Probably
Wow.
143 because I rounded down. But
Yeah.
so let's go back in the Wayback Machine here. Weekly chart index. Show me this week in June of 2022 when Top Gun Maverick ruled the roost.
Yes.
617. Okay. Oh,
Oh,
this is the
wow.
weekend when Lightyear came out last year.
Oh, wow.
So you had 142 million for this year's combined top five.
Okay.
So Jurassic World second weekend, 59. Lightyear made 50 million, which Elemental would love to have.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick in week 4 is powering on at 44, and we've already outdone the top five from this year with the first three.
Wow.
But
Wow.
if we keep going, Doctor Strange on the tail end of it,
Bob's
Bob
Burgers.
Burger's movie, which is a huge bomb. Yeah,
Yeah.
158 million.
Wow.
Like if you took out Doctor Strange and Bob's Burgers, top five last year beat the top five this year, and
Yeah.
it's a ridiculous situation because there were way more new releases last year or this year than last year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because we were still kind of coming out of coming out from the unspecified virus of unknown origin.
Yeah, like when you just look at the top 10 here, Sonic was still in the top Sonic 2 was still in the top 10 in week 11 because there was nothing else really.
Right. Yeah, I remember that last year. Yeah, there was just very few releases coming out. We had very little to talk about last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah, it's like you have Top Gun Maverick here eating up all or soaking up all the oxygen in the room because that's all there was.
Yeah, and that could very well happen again this year. Tom Cruise might have to bail out the movie theaters again.
Yeah, when I keep thinking that there's no major movies coming out, I keep forgetting about Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
Uh, Now, as far as the home video charts, we actually have a couple of interesting notes here. Uh, John Wick still on top. Super Mario movies comes in at number 2. Um,
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
yeah, now right here, this is why you see so many sequels because on top of the actual money you make in the theaters, uh, you have people go, "Oh, well, I should probably watch that first Spider-Man movie before I see the next one."
Yeah, mm,
So they buy it on home video.
and that's just more money.
Yep, Dungeons and Dragons is in there. I think those were Oh, are you there, God? It's me. Margaret debuts at number 8.
Ooh,
Apparently, the answer for Margaret was no.
no, yeah,
Shazam collapsing. That was basically what I wanted to show. Is just
yeah,
not only is Sony playing Top Gun Maverick this summer so far with Spider-Man, they're
yeah.
also taking unfair advantage and making a lot of money from the home video market.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had
On to
these
yeah.
things here. People who aren't YouTube incels like us,
Eh,
awful all night Yahtzees, as they might call us,
yeah,
for
yeah.
daring to have some of the opinions about entertainment we do.
Mhm.
Um, People who aren't us are starting to notice, hey, every Disney movie is bombing,
Yeah.
and superhero movies don't seem to be doing quite as well as they used to.
Almost like yeah, yeah, it sounds like we've been saying that for the last 2 years now.
Yeah, like, huh? I seriously think that the unknown virus of unknown origin
Mhm.
uh, really saved them from a reckoning that they would have run into sooner.
Yeah.
Because Flash probably would have come out in 2021
Mhm.
when you think about it. Uh, Elemental probably would have come out around the same time,
Yeah, probably, yeah.
just because animation is easier to remote.
Mhm.
But dang, it's just and like I saw articles going, "Our movie theater's over."
Yeah.
It's like now I have an opinion there. Daniel, do you think that this is the end of cinema as we know it?
No.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like
Yeah.
because there have been downtimes in Hollywood before.
Mhm.
This is simply a matter of we need actual good content to make people get out of their houses and go to the theaters.
Yes. Yeah, last week when we were talking about the French Connection, and that movie came out in the time of the auteur filmmaker when studios were basically just telling directors, just make any movie, do whatever you want, just don't spend a whole lot of money.
Yep. Do what you want. We don't know what the audience wants anymore.
Yeah, and I think that's basically that needs to happen again if cinema,
Right.
if cinemas want to stay around.
Like clearly the throw $200 million at anything and it'll sort itself out approach is not working.
Yeah.
It often didn't even work before,
No,
but
yeah.
Like there
No,
were a lot of bombs in those days, but there were enough hits to make up for it.
right, yeah. And well, the other thing too is, and a lot of people have pointed this out, like these days you've got the small indie movies that are like really low budget,
Mhm.
and then you got movies like The Flash and others that are 200, 300 million dollars, but you don't have, there's this divide here, but you don't have those like mid-budget movies anymore. Those, 60, 80, even $100 million movies.
Yeah, it's weird how there's like been the erosion of the middle class, and it's
Yeah.
weirdly played out in entertainment too.
Yeah, a lot of people have pointed that out, and I think some people have said that a lot of them are going to streaming. You see,
Right,
like a lot of them just are on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, or they or even being made into shows.
right. Like, I mean, so let's think about, say, think about the Snyderverse, just to pull in a previous example.
Hmm.
Um, I would say that even if Snyder had gotten to make the original Justice League start to finish,
Hmm.
trying to cut that down into a 3 hour movie would have been troublesome at best after watching the Snyder cut, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Wouldn't it have been better off if HBO had given him a truckload of money and said, "You're making a Justice League series for HBO"? Like
yeah,
just from the jump,
yeah,
you could have had Man of Steel as a season, Batman v Superman as a season, Justice League as a season.
yeah,
There would have been time to breathe. He could have been as self-indulgent as he liked,
yeah,
and that would have been more acceptable because that's better long-form storytelling. I seem to recall hearing that there was like at one point a 4 hour cut of the Flash.
wow,
Which, like, okay, seriously, somebody at Warner Brothers needs to. What kept happening was they would look at the script, say, "Oh yeah, script that will take 4 or 5 hours to film. Okay, sure." Get panicked when they realized how many shows a day they'd be able to get in with a 4 hour movie, then insisted they cut it down.
yeah,
Like you can't go so chop heavy at the last minute.
yeah, 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 yeah. Chang 4 hours. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, when you think about it, in that movie, Reverse Flash showed up at the very beginning, and there was like a freak out nightmare scene in the middle, and then he showed up again at the end. When really he should have been like a constant presence when you think about it.
yeah. I mean, yeah, just like with the Flashpoint, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, because I mean, he is the Flash's arch nemesis. He's his Lex Luthor. He's his Joker. Yeah. Oh, you got muted. You got muted.
You didn't get to have the live action version of because he barely had any scenes.
Oh,
Remember the first time you got with a girl, Barry, and you that was me, Barry.
that was me, Barry.
Remember that time that when you opened that soda while you were on the date and you sprayed both of you with Dr. Pepper? It was me, Barry. I used the
Yes.
Speed Force to shake that can.
Ah. Oh, great meme.
But yeah, I think that what we're seeing at this point is like, okay, if superhero fatigue was arguable before, I think we're seeing signs that it's fact.
Yeah,
Because Guardians of the Galaxy 3, from everything I've heard, is a good movie, a
yeah.
fine movie, a worthy movie. It is a
Mhm.
good send off for the characters. Some people have some critiques with it, but it sounds like it sounds like it was actually a good movie, and I need to watch it.
Yeah. Yes, I
Uh,
do too. Yeah.
but it could not outdo the objectively crap Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that only did as well as it did because it got that spider bump we've talked about many times.
Yes, and it had all the rumors circulating around it, like, oh, Tom Cruise playing Tony Stark might show up, and
And arguably, it might have even had a WandaVision bump from anybody who was in the know and had just seen WandaVision that knew that Wanda was a big part of it.
yeah,
I think that WandaVision is like the one. Loki was bigger, but I feel like people had the most interest in WandaVision initially, partially because it was the first MCU show.
yeah, and it seemed like just a kind of it quirky enough that it got people's attention.
And then it went formulaic.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I don't see this being the end of cinemas. Like I just that
no,
seems hyperbolic.
yeah,
Anytime you say that something is the definitive end of anything, it'll find a way to soldier on because
mhm.
okay, so I'm gonna do a quick example here. Um, Daniel, did you know that in our lifetime, oil ran out in the year 1993?
I did not know that. No,
Because it didn't happen. But
yeah,
the, like there have been predictions about peak oil going on for literally a century.
mm,
Like, oh, and it's because the people are always working on the assumption, oh, well, we found all the oil. We
yeah,
know with known oil, and you know what? At any given time, they were generally right. If we had only found the oil we knew about in 1970, we would have probably run out of oil in the 90s.
mhm,
But guess what? If there's demand, people keep exploring for it.
mhm.
As long as it's profitable, people keep finding more and more of the stuff.
Yep.
By the same token, um, if they keep making Disney live action remakes for $250 million and mediocre Pixar movies, or copy of a copy of a copy Pixar movies,
Yeah.
that will kill the theaters and Disney given long enough. But
Yeah.
you have to assume that at some point, some smart person is going to realize that this isn't working.
Yeah.
If nothing else, uh, Peltz is going to say, "Hey, you quieted me down with the promise of a dividend, and I stopped trying to get onto the board. Screw you guys, I want on the board."
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Because like Disney in particular, and Warner Brothers too, has too much going for them to
Mhm.
not be successful with the right people in charge.
Yeah.
You can't keep a good company down unless you just aggressively keep pursuing non-working strategies. So let's hope that people go out there and discover that entertainment oil.
Yes, indeed. Genghis says, Remember, Barry, when you shit your pants on your first date?"
uh,
Uh, yeah.
yeah. Before I went into my long talk about the plot of the Flash, we were going to kind of look at the elementals. I I don't. Elemental just doesn't even seem like it's worth talking about. It sounds like it's fine.
Yeah. It's from what I've heard, it's like a water character and a fire character romance.
Yep.
Mm,
Some people have tried to call it woke. It's just about immigrants. They try to like, oh, it's a non-binary main character. The actor is non-binary. Whatever.
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No, yeah. Although I will say, with it bombing, it could be that could be the end, the beginning of the end for Pixar.
That's true. They haven't actually brought in any money for a while, so it could be the beginning of where either Pixar gets folded into Disney Animation or vice versa.
Yeah, which would be sad because I grew up on Pixar movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Disney Animated for that matter.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the other thing that's kind of interesting is, you gotta hand it to Sony for they came out of the slump they were in for a long time and have just been consistently coming out with fan pleasing stuff. You have misfires like 65, but they're fewer and far between.
Yeah.
And Morbius, I
And
guess. But
yeah, Morbius. Yeah.
yeah, they are. Oh, you know what? Unofficial extra story here. One sec.
All right.
Um, Speaking of people figuring out smarter things to do, da, 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 da. You gotta love it when they lie in the title, in the headline.
Oh yeah.
Sony removes Bad Bunny Spider-Man spinoff El Muerto from the calendar. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Like yesterday when I posted that, they said highly anticipated in the headline.
Oh. So they changed the headline.
They changed the headline.
Oh.
They they figured it out.
Yeah. It was not highly anticipated.
No, and I think it's them figuring out. Oh, it is. Boy, it sure is funny that this was announced at the same time as the Flash bombed.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're saying it's because of the. Yeah, at this point, they need some more. Well, they need like a couple writing polishes on it, and the writers are on strike. So it would have been basically impossible to finish it before January. But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think the odds are that this quietly slips off the release calendar, and never happens?
I would say very good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to say 25% that this thing is just gone.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
But you love to see it
Yeah.
because again, it's uh, we've talked about this before, where pop culture and nerd interest would probably be better off if they were shoved back into the cultural locker.
Yeah.
Because extra attention only brings normies, and they have to water things down for normies.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
like I brought the example earlier where who the hell is going to know or understand the reference of having a Nicolas Cage Superman fight a giant spider?
Yeah.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
If that version of Flashpoint had been an animated movie that you'd put right into Max with special edition Blu-rays for the nerds who really wanted it, probably would have made more money.
Yeah. 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 That's
Yeah,
just the way it goes. Yeah.
for that matter, come on, you cowards! Nicolas Cage, Nicolas Cage would love to come in and voice Superman.
Oh yeah.
Didn't he name his kid Kal-El?
Yes.
Yeah. So have him come in, voice Superman, make an animated movie based on Superman Lives.
Yeah.
That'll get you some Max subscriptions.
God, I might even watch that. Yeah.
Uh, I'd be there with bells on because if it's a Nicolas Cage project, it's at least going to be entertaining, even if it isn't good.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And maybe that's the thing to do with all these unmade superhero movies is turn them into relatively inexpensive animated movies.
Yeah. It sounds like a good idea. I don't see why not.
Yep, you're going to need something because with all the content you're cutting.
Yeah.
But well, it's funny. Thursday is always a low energy ebb day for me. And then I get to talking about this stuff and get excited. So
Yeah.
uh, I did my usual verbal diarrhea there.
That's all right. No problem. Uh, yeah. Well, I always listen. I always like listening to you talk about this stuff. It gets me excited too.
Yeah, because like this is where they go out there and they explore for that cinematic oil. So let's hope they strike pay dirt.
Indeed. Well, thank you